Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another special episode here on Hospitality Today Live. I'm Deborah Gardner. And again, thank you so much for being here, continuing to be our biggest fans here for one of the top 15 podcast shows in the world. So thank you so much for being here. And you know, I always have amazing guests here, and I cannot wait for you to meet the one we have for you today, Lou Marrocco. He is the hospitality and sustainability expert, and he's also the president of Brandywine Events. And boy, talking about a wealth of information and the passion he has for our industry, you're going to really enjoy this episode because Lou is going to talk about the much needed topic of sustainability, how we can do more. Definitely, we can always do more. He's also going to talk about how the industry has changed since he started in this career. And also, what is he seeing out there in the field? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, stay tuned. Don't go far. You're going to want to find out right here on Hospitality Today Live. Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah Gardner here at Hospitality Today Live. We've got this show sponsored by Visibly Media, helping business communicate strategically in print and online. So again, welcome back, everyone. And of course, my special guest, Lou Marrocco. Hi, Lou.
Hey, Deborah. Thanks so much for having me. It's just such an honor.
It's such a pleasure to have you as well. I know we've been waiting to have you on this show for about a year now. And now it's finally here. We get the opportunity to talk together.
I know. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. And we've got so much to talk about. A lot has happened, especially in the last year since we've been able to book you on the show. And yet I know our viewers would love to know more about you and what you do, because you wear several different hats, don't you?
I really do. I've been very fortunate to be in this industry for a while, as you had mentioned. And during my career, I have worn hats from being in the restaurant business to a hotelier to an off-premise caterer, which is my love for the longest period of time, to being an event and meeting professional, as well as what I like to believe now, a mentor and help in the industry. So, yeah.
Well, it is amazing. As much as you've been around in this industry and myself, it's so big that we can't seem to cross paths with so many industry professionals. And to know that you've been in the industry this long and have so much wealth of information to share, I know we're going to probably have this next 30 minutes to go really, really fast. But I also know that since you began your career here, you've seen the industry change a lot, right?
Oh, quite a bit. Yeah.
In what way?
Well, from the very basics to, when you first started out in the industry, there was a certain amount of time that you spent, as you would call, like as an apprentice or as a student. And really, you were placed in those situations where you went and you worked every rank and every step of the way. And what it did is it gave you a great appreciation for the industry, but it gave you a great appreciation for those people that you're interacting with then, and especially now. When we go out to do a program for our clients and we're interacting with either the hotel, the convention center, whatever, we can speak to them in knowing and having full knowledge of what they're going through to make that program work well. So in doing that, we respect their time and we respect the needs that our client has with how it fits in with their capability to do the work. It's even gotten worse now because the industry is so short-staffed.
Yes,
So,
that is a concern.
there's a lot of switching and moving. So it's even more important for us planners and industry professionals to really acknowledge and understand the fact of what everybody's going through and how best we can work together.
Yeah, yeah. And I think those that have been in the industry for as long as you and I have been can see that difference. Whereas the newly seasonal folks are just like, oh, well, this must be normal. Well, what is normal today, right?
Exactly.
I have no idea.
But that brings up a really good point. I mean, those that are trying to come into the field. I mean, one of the questions is like, oh, I want to get into the meeting planning and event planning business. How do I do that? And one of the first things I say is, first concentrate on what part of the industry or planning you're interested in, corporate versus social. But more importantly, concentrate on all the different pieces. It's like a building block. Every side, either social or corporate, has commonality, and it always revolves around what the logistics are, what the food is, what the decor, things like that.
Yeah.
And as a young professional, place yourself in an opportunity to work for those different companies to gather some basic knowledge so going forward what makes sense or what doesn't even make sense.
Well, that was the golden nugget of a tip that any new seasonal person that's coming in this industry needs to know about. So thank you for sharing that. And I know there's a ton more, but that really made a lot of sense. And I know you don't have it up on the screen right here, but you are not only a CMP, a certified meeting professional, but you are also a CEPC. Can you tell us what that means? And
I can. I'm gonna back up a few years to an organization that was called the Green Meetingsandevents Council.
Right.
And part of what we'll speak about is the sustainability. It got me very much interested in it. At that time, they launched a program, and the SEPC stands for Sustainable Event Professional Certification. And the whole idea was, you as a professional, we're going to be certified how you could best reduce your carbon footprint and be sustainable in all your events. And it was a great course, and it was a great opportunity. The initial class was about 32, of which I was very happy to be one of. Since then, GMIC has been incorporated into the Events Industry Council, and EIC also has this program. And it's really interesting. And it's something that I would encourage any of us in the industry to take a look at and to really spend time, because it is important. Sustainability in our industry is important. I mean, the knowledge that you gather and the fact that that we as a hospitality industry are the second greatest contributor to pollution. I mean, why would we not want to change that?
Right. I agree. Well, I think that certification is very, very important to our industry. Like you said, I love the fact that you said everyone should, look into this, especially to start somewhere with a class. Where do they do that, Lou?
They can do it right online. They go to eic.org.
Okay.
Events
EIC.
Industry
Okay.
Council.
Yep.
And just pull that right up, and boom, you're there.
Okay. And so the viewers that are watching right now, by all means, take advantage of something like this because it only allows you to be even more credible in the industry as well. And let's dig into sustainability, since we brought that up. And any viewers that have any questions or comments, jump on board here, because Lou is here to take any type of questions from you as well. And it's such a much needed topic, and we haven't had it here on the show before. And I came across a couple things here, and I know it has to do with the world itself, but it says 48% of the U.S. consumers are ready for change. They're ready for that change, for the new habits of sustainability to save the environment. Mm-hmm. But yet these consumers spend $128 billion on sustainability, fast-moving products or goods back in 2018. According to a report by the New Climate Economy, we could save $26 trillion by 2030 if we start living sustainability.
Right.
Interesting. Very interesting. What do you think about that? And how does that apply to the hospitality industry.
Well, it's especially now is in the forefront, and in the news daily, and especially with our president over in with the EAU now talking about climate change and all of that. I mean, it's a reality. It's something that's not going away. And each of us has an opportunity to take a small step and add to reducing the footprint, whether it be at home, whether it be in our industry, whether it be at the office, wherever. I mean, it only takes a small step.
Sure.
It's crazy not to think that way. I got involved with it when I had my catering company called Catering Incorporated here in the Philadelphia area. And that was maybe 18 years ago. And it was bothering me because of a couple things. One big thing was the amount of food that we waste from events, either from the production side or at the end of the event. And I was desperately trying to find a way to repurpose or reuse or save, if you will, or as they call it now, rescue that food and give it to people that need it. I mean, I'm a little bit further down the road. I'm going to speak about food rescue and what that means. Anyways, from a sustainability standpoint, back then, it was very much something that was being brought about and talked about in academia. So there was a lot of work on a level of the universities worldwide about what sustainability is and different protocols that we should follow. And here I am, this little catering guy trying to figure this out. And I said, well, that's great, but how does that work for me as an operator? So I made it a point to try to drill down and help explain to other operators like myself that it's not a cost added item, it's a cost saving item. And for a while there, I was going around and speaking to NACE, the National Association of Catering Executives, and to ALEA.
Yes, great organization.
About how to save money by being sustainable. It's not overly difficult. What it is just, again, like anything else, changing the way we think and applying that new change to make a difference. So
totally. Yeah. And we have someone in the chat box that wants to ask you a question, but for some reason my button is technically not behaving. But what they're asking right now is, what is sustainability and what is the purpose, the benefits? Well, you've told some of it already. And why is it important? So I know you went through some of that already, but
that's
what is it today?
What does
it look like today?
It looks like anything. It's like putting on a pair of glasses so you can focus in on what's going on in the world. Whether that is in the world itself, or as I like to say, putting the glasses on so you can see what's in front of your nose. I mean, it's everything from doing away with water bottles. Okay, well, what's the big thing? We all heard about water bottles. Oh my God, tell me more. Okay, well, from a planner standpoint, about 12 years ago when I went on a job for another planner. So what I do sometimes is I work as a third party. Planners will call me because of the knowledge I have in food and beverage and logistics and sustainability and hire me to come in and be on point with that. This one planner did that. We went through the program, and a lot of the pieces that were already in place, I couldn't do anything about. I was more or less hands-on. At the end of the program, we did the post-con, and the client looked at the bill and was like, why am I paying all this money for water? And I looked at the bill and the BEO, and it's like, well, the reason why you're paying all that money for water is you're paying like $5 a bottle for a small bottle of water for every break and every meal period you had for 3 days times 300 people. In essence, they spent something like about $9,000 on water bottles. Two things. What happened to all the bottles?
Yeah.
Second, why would the client want to spend that kind of money when you could do water stations, percolators? So that's just, again, that's just a little simple thing of taking the economics, the dollars and cents that you could save as an operator or as a planner or as the client, but more importantly, applying that to what it saves on getting rid of plastic bottles that really end up where? It doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
I have a major, I guess, conflict when I go to certain things. Now, I've had the pleasure of going to some great venues, and most recently I went to a wonderful concert this past summer, and it was great. It was outside. So happy to take the mask off. So happy to be in this venue, just being around all day long. And it was a hot day, so there were things to drink. 24-ounce cans of your favorite beverage or bottles of your favorite beverage. 10,000 people enjoying the day. Beautiful day. And can I tell you, there was not even one recyclable bin.
Wow.
Exactly. And I went back the next day. I was so livid. I went back in and I got on the computer, and it's like I looked up the venue and I laughed. And then I felt really angry at the fact that they stated in their mission that they are sustainable conscious.
Oh,
like, okay.
No.
I think you missed it yesterday.
You're right.
So, what does it mean? It means like just thinking differently and trying to think of, instead of throwing something out, where can it be used? Can it be recycled? Can it be repurposed?
Right. That makes a lot of sense. As a matter of fact, I had to chuckle when I was looking up some things. The Sustainability Management School said the average hamburger takes about 4.5 cups of water to produce. And with the shortage of water, even applied to our foods, it certainly can be used up really, really quick. So I don't know if it really takes 4.5 cups to make an average hamburger or not, but according to this report, it is. But can they even cut back in that and come up with something else? The same thing. Well, we have another question for you, and my button is really working here.
Yeah.
And it is from Visibly Media, who happens to be our sponsor today. How much of a factor does flexibility play in sustainability for businesses?
Well, I think flexibility is a major factor in everything that we do as a planner and in the hospitality industry. I mean, we have to be nimble and we have to be flexible in what we do. Apply it to sustainability. There are ways that we can kind of work together, and I think the key factor is working together as the supplier and the planner, or the planner and the client. It really comes down to two factors. One is, deciding if this is something that you want to do for your program or for your culture as a business, and then communicating that to your staff, to your employees, to your guests or attendees if it is a program. But flexibility is always key, and I think there's always room to kind of meet halfway in between. We're never ever going to have a complete carbon. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. We're never going to have a complete event where you're going to be able to say everything was done in a sustainable way, but you can do things that are sustainable to get to that point. It's just like you've never really had a perfect event. There's always room to grow. There's always room to learn. And I think that's the cool part. I mean, in my 30 years in this industry, I am so blessed because each and every day I go to an event or I work, I learn something different. I learn something new.
Right.
So there's always room.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement. So anybody that's looking at sustainability now, as opposed to years ago, hey, the best part is you can start right now.
Correct.
You're not too late of any sort. We also have another question for you from Randall. Thank you so much, Randall Radier, for joining us again. Good comment, Lou, about the water bottles. But is a buffet meal more sustainable than a plated meal? Ooh,
well, that's a really great question. Good question, Randall. So I'm going to approach it two different ways. I'm going to approach it from a dollar and cent standpoint and from a sustainable standpoint. From a dollar and cent standpoint, buffet meals will cost you more because, let's say, for a simple 100 guests, you need to make sure that you have close to 100 portions of each item that's going to be on the buffet. So that then brings us to what happens to the food after. And I'm going to touch on that in just a second. So I'm glad you brought this question up. The plated meal from a dollar and cent standpoint may cost a little bit more on the labor side, but will ideally reduce your food cost because It's a definite amount of food or portion per plate. Now, the thing that I go back to that is something that we all should kind of like take a look at is the amount of waste, the waste of the food, whether it be plated or buffet. What happens to that? Where does it go? If it's still functional and still something that can be used, why not repurpose that? Why not reuse that or food rescue that? And there's several organizations and there's several places that actually do it better than others, where you can actually have a group come in and in essence rescue that leftover food and take it to shelters and homeless stations so it can be used and given to those who are in pretty much food insecurity. So great question. Thank you. I hope this answered it.
Yeah, that is a great question. And Randall also corrected me about the hamburger comment. He said most of the water comes from rainwater to make, the grass pasture for the cows to eat. Yeah, I never even thought about that. That's a very, very good comment. Very good comment. And then I also have another one here from Lisa Raymond. Does the dollar commerce drive the definition of sustainability?
That's a really good question too, Lisa. It's sad to say, does the dollar commerce drive anything? It's interesting. I have
Touche.
Yeah, it should not be the way, but it has been. Now, it's interesting enough. A friend of mine shared with me a comment or a study that was brought about by KPMG most recently, 2021 KPMG US CEO Outlook. And the reason why it was interesting to me, and she's someone that I've known in the sustainable realm for a number of years. She said, well, Lou, take a look at this and read this. So, how some people were talking about, okay, so, the ROI on your company, or what is your corporate social responsibility, your CSR? Well, now the new buzzword is the ESG. And I said, okay, ESG, it's the environmental, social, and governance policy that your company has. So these top CEOs from around the globe, or especially in the United States, got together and they were answering this about how to aim their business and build a better society. And they've come away with the agreement that the majority of the CEOs are leaning into their corporate purpose and values to drive action on these environmental, social, and governance initiatives, recognizing both heightened expectations from stakeholders and new opportunities to gain competitive advantage. So what does that tell me? That tells me that there's a recognition anymore that it's not just about making dollars and cents. I mean, if we take a look at the trouble that a major social media platform just ran into because they were trying to build their dollars and cents and not really taking care of core values, I mean, that speaks volumes. So does it mean that sustainability should be governed by the economic side? It will happen. It has happened. It was one of those prohibitive things that had taken place 10 years ago until people started talking about it and saying, no, it's not costing you more money to be sustainable. It's just costing you a different way of looking. And
Right.
just, all you have to do is just look a little bit differently.
Right. And adding that line item could eliminate other line items
Correct.
as they start, implementing their sustainability processes.
I'll give you a flip side to that. A flip side is going to be with this information, right? So
Okay.
what we do, what Brandywine Events does when we go to source location for our clients, we add in the RFP based on everything they're looking for. And one of the things that we've been putting in, well, actually two things we've been putting in over the recent years has been, give us your sustainability policy and how that relates to our program, and give us a wellness policy and how that relates to our program, both of which are huge to our clients. And I can tell you, not this year, but 2 years ago when we were sourcing, I put that question out, and I think I had sent 5 RFPs, and I only had two respond to me with their policy. The other three, which were 5-star, 5-diamond resorts, did not. Consequently, when I presented it to the client's like, well, let's not consider that. So what's that saying? That's saying that, okay, it's becoming more and more prevalent and more important to our clients and their stakeholders. So if you're not on board to really put together a sustainable policy or talk about it, you could be left out without doing business.
Right. I totally agree with you. That is going to become more and more important to our clients. We need to stay ahead of the game and make sure that they know that you definitely understand what sustainability is and how it works for everyone to have a sustainability type of meeting and event at the same time. So what is it going to take for people to jump on board, really have that desire to change or that desire for motivation? Are there any tips that you recommend for people to help people move forward with this?
Yeah, the first tip I have is to make sure that people stay and watch your show on a weekly basis to get information that's important to our industry. The second tip is, again, keep yourself open. We're always learning things. Keep yourself open to other opportunities and what what your colleagues are doing. I belong to a group that has a monthly conversation about sustainability. And last month we had one of our local caterers here, and we were talking through it. And I had been to one of their events, and I said to her, I said, so let me ask you this, because I noticed at one of your events when I was in attendance, things were all disposable, but there were no trash cans, there were no recycle bins anywhere to be seen. She said, well, Lou, the reason why we do that is because people still don't know the difference about what's recyclable and what's trash. So rather than do that, we bus everything to the back of the house and separate it there.
Oh, interesting.
And she had said, ever since she started doing that, they end up taking more bags of recyclables and less bags of trash.
Oh, that is
So
a very interesting
takeaways on that. Right.
Okay.
A couple takeaways are, first of all, you have to have the communication from management to staff. Secondly, and more importantly, and that's a whole nother thing that I could talk for more than a half hour, is the training. You have to train your people on what your expectations are. Because if you don't, how are they going to know?
Right. Right. And I think where they need to start is contacting you to understand where that, how that all works, because I would imagine there is a whole different system pertaining to that no company or organization has really put their employees through. So, very little.
That talks, again, that speaks back to the situation that we're in now with the pandemic.
Right.
And how many, as we were saying before, how many of our colleagues and industry professionals have left? I saw a report, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, that said like 48% of the industry that was there before the pandemic are gone. Either they've just not worked or they've decided to go to a different career path, but they're not coming back.
Wow.
So what does that mean? So what does that mean for our industry? And what we're seeing is that everybody in every industry is lacking staff. Number one. Number two, in our industry especially, what's happening is the staff that are there are being forced to take on different jobs and different responsibilities that they never had before, or have not been trained for. And if they were that supervisory level that's been pushed up to another position, there's no backfill to that. So new people are coming in, and who's training them?
Right.
I've said that to my colleagues and friends locally. I said, look, do me a favor. Let me come in and just train them for a week, because if not, you're not doing yourself, your organization, or them any kind of any good. You're going to frustrate them. They're going to quit. You're going to really upset your clientele or your customers because they expect more from you and getting less.
Right.
And you're going to just go crazy.
Well, anyone that wants to convince their stakeholders or owners that you want to train your employees on sustainability and they don't accept that, that tells you something about the company. So I think that would be one of the easiest training initiatives for any company and organization. Hey, we got another question for you, Lou. Your fans are really showing up today. This one's from Jim. Hi,
Hey,
Jim. Are there any certain destinations or hotel brands around the U.S. that are more aggressive than others to help the environment?
That's a great question, Jim. And yes, there are. There's several. One that I can think of off the top is Al High. Mike Dominguez and his group have always been in the forefront of not only sustainability, but also in promoting the UN standards to also help with preventing human trafficking and things like that. So yeah, they are probably one of the foremost that I would say is there to do whatever we can. There are others, and again, it's like anything else. When we go out to resource, you go out and you take a look at the different brands and find out what they're all about, and really drill down to what their culture is about. And you find out pretty quickly who's really serious about sustainability and the environment and who's not. But great question. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good question. And gosh, we can continue talking for another hour with you on this, because again, we haven't had that opportunity to talk about sustainability. And I'm glad you brought up Mike Dominguez's name. He's going to be here January 4th to kick off the year with the trends and what's going on with the industry. But I totally agree with you. Alhai does a really good job on making sure that sustainability is throughout their entire brand. So I love that. So why don't we get, everybody get a piece of paper and pen. You're going to want to write down Lou's contact information, which we are putting up on the screen here. And is there any other way that people can contact you other than your email, website? And there's your phone number too.
There's my phone number. Give me a call, give me a text, call me, email me, anything. Two things that I'd like to mention before, because it's near and dear to my heart. One is the food rescue programs. What that is let's start making an effort to take that food and repurpose it to the homeless and shelters.
Perfect.
There's a great organization called the World Food Program, which is doing wonderful things around the world to help the starving nations, which I think we should all be involved with. And the other one that I want you to take a look at, please, locally, is the Farm Link Project. The Farm Link Project helps take the food that's being thrown away and lost, because its mission is to reclaim billions of pounds of produce that just gets thrown away.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Exactly. I mean, it's just kind of okay.
Inexcusable.
Exactly. Totally. So
totally inexcusable.
Please out there, make sure you do at least those two things. Call me, whatever help you need. Call me if you need someone to come in and do training, or at least kind of pep talk your staff.
Right.
But all I can say is it's only a different step. Just look with different glasses and different eyes at doing something in your own home to be sustainable.
Right.
Start
there.
Every day.
Absolutely. Well, this was a delightful episode, and I'm so glad we had you on this show. Thank you so much, Lou Marrocco, who is definitely the hospitality and sustainability expert. Please contact him and get this ball rolling, because we need more of this. We need the attention on sustainability more now than ever. And he's the expert of it. So thank you, Lou, so much for being with us. And
thank you, Deborah, so much.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure.
Thank you.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. I knew you would really hang out and watch Lou and what he had to share with you, because if anyone knows what sustainability is about, it's Lou. And when he has been living and working in the industry for as long as he has, why not contact him today and talk to him about your company and organization and what you all need to do to be more sustainable. And I know, again, like he mentioned, your clients would love it, your family would love it, the bottom line would love it. So take advantage of getting a hold of Lou, and we're so glad we had him with us today. Now, if you enjoyed today's show, by all means know that there is a replay on your favorite social media platforms. So, and I'm sure that maybe somebody didn't get a chance to watch today's show. please share it with them as well. We'd love to have that conversation continue. And we want to thank our sponsor, Visibly Media, for being with us today too. And if you are interested in sponsoring, we have opened the applications up for 2022. So contact us at hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com. Well, next up, we have a very good friend of mine, Lori Pugh. She is the events content director at Path to Purchase Institute and retail leader. You know, after working in the meetings and events industry for over 2 decades, Lori has actually been on both the planner and the supplier side as well. So we're going to get an inside look to her fascinating career throughout the years. And she's also going to share with us some trends and forecasting for the event business, especially for 2022. And also, what has she learned in her new role with this company? And what skills do events need prior and must add to their toolkit? Boy, this is going to be a great conversation you're not going to want to miss. So we hope that you'll be able to join us again next week, same time and same day. And I just want to say thank you all again for being with us. I'm Deborah Gardner here on Hospitality Today Live. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.